Hello, welcome to another Punters Guide this weekend with some cracking racing, North-South Divide, Haydock and Sandown on the ITV cameras. As always, Jason Weaver has joined us, and a little bit of guessing work involved this weekend, Jason, regards the weather. We're due a hot day, but thunderstorms could hit both tracks, so a little bit of a weather watch advised.
Yeah, I think that if you're looking for horses that absolutely want really top of the ground, you're going to struggle, aren't you? Because I think that there's been a bit of rain dotted around, and so the sting is taken out of it. So yeah, I wouldn't be looking for horses that want it absolutely rattling quick. On the flip side of that, possibly the likes of Dubai Honor is maybe not going to get the quagmire that he absolutely loves, as we know. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit in between.
Certainly is. Let's get stuck into the action then, because Sam has a great card, of course, on Eclipse Day. We start with the opener 150. It is the Coral Charge over the Flying 5 furlongs. And the market suggests wide open, despite just the 11 run. It's around about 5-1 the field. It's a real pin stickers guide, this one.
Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it? It's fascinating. Tiber Flow, who did us a favour the other day, he drops back down to the minimum for the first time in his career. He definitely gets caught in a bit of a flat spot, doesn't he, before sort of hitting the line. But I don't know whether Tom will ride him a bit different from stall number 2. I think he'll try and push up and get behind the leaders and try and alleviate that flat spot. You can't change the tactics completely, but it might just catch him out. Diligent Harry, I've always wanted to see him back down at the minimum. He's only tried it on a few occasions, and lots of these. Existent, they were all run together, didn't they, in the King's Stand? So they're all sort of on top of each other. I think we get and I'm not doing Clifford Lee down. I think he's a capable rider, but we get a big upgrade, don't we? Ryan Moore taking over on Marshman. He's threatened to be a very, very good horse, hasn't he? He's got stall number 3. He loves a bit of dig in the ground. So if any of that rain arrives, it's certainly going to help him. And I think, if I'm being honest, on a few occasions, he's just been the lamb to the slaughter, up on the front end, bunny along, and then he's been falling in a hole. Ryan Moore, if he gets gifted a soft time in front, he'll go. But make no mistake, if there's one or two that are absolutely rattling along, he'll take a bit of a lead. And yeah, I think Ryan Moore could make the difference in the opener. And don't forget, he's bound to get a little bit in his favour, because what is it? The sprint allowance, I think he's down at £5 or something like that, isn't it? Down in the sprinters.
Yeah, certainly draw 3 as well. I think could be advantageous. Marshman certainly caught May. He still could be a Group 1 horse, of course, in that Group 3. We move on to the 225 then, the Coral Challenge, and handicap over a mile. Again, all your usual suspects in here. Everything seems to be a little bit exposed. Nothing really coming in here under the radar. Bar maybe Skeptic at the bottom. I thought Uzo would go well, last year's 3rd off the same mark. He's a big player for the Osbornes. But what do you find? Again, another wide open handicap. We can't help ourselves in these, can we?
Yeah, I mean, look, Uzo, he was unlucky in this last year, exactly the same mark. I thought he ran okay at the Royal Meeting. Perotto punted off the boards last time after a good return run in the Victoria Cup. Is he becoming a bit expensive to follow? I know that they get a Tom Marquand gets the call on him. There are lots in here. I mean, look at Indemnify. Cost 125,000 at the Horses in Training sale. That was not cheap. Silent Film, 120,000 from Godolphin. Didn't run too bad in the Buckingham Palace. There are lots in here. If there's one that comes in under the radar, it's got to be Skeptic down the bottom, hasn't it? I think that the win at Lingfield was good. He bumped into Cicero's Gift. He ran really well at York from the back of the pack. Easy win. He couldn't have won any more impressive at Goodwood last time, and he slots in here. Obviously, the big mile race at the glorious Goodwood Meeting, I think he's currently around about 25s for that at the moment. So if you think he's going to win, and I do think he's going to win, there's a possibility of having £1 or 2 at the glorious Goodwood Meeting for the big mile handicap there. So yeah, Skeptic down the bottom, Holly Doyle on board. Surely you give you a good run for your money.
Yeah, interesting. Again, another weight for age allowance of £9 from the 3-year-olds for the elders. Right, let's move on to the 3 o'clock, the Distaff listed contest again over a mile. Now, Breach and Absentee, an important one as well. She has come out. Stenton Glider will be a new market leader. She ran well to be second in the German 1,000 guineas.
Yeah, and ran really well as well on her return. And the Fred Darling at Newbury, I thought that was a brilliant effort from her. What about the form of the stable? Hugo Palmer is a bit of a concern for me, isn't it? You know, they've had some horses who look like they should be towards the head of the market, and they're £3, £4, £5 below par at the moment. I've had a good look through here, and I have to say, one who was knocked over at the Royal Meeting is Bridestones. Now, she won an average race at Yarmouth as a juvenile. She was then thrown in the deep end. Group 1 company she ran in straight after for the John Gosden team. They don't normally do that, and she undoubtedly would have won her race on her side. I'm not saying she'd have beaten Covey, but that was in the Sandringham. Lots of these bring in that form. She's the best out of those, and for that reason, she gets the pick by default, because Stenton Glider, as you mentioned, in real good form, but I'm not so sure about the stable. So Bridestones.
Right, for the boys in blue. Let's move on to the feature race then. It is the Coral Eclipse, of course, the Group 1. Sad only 4 get to face the start. It's not really been a big field in the last few years. We had a great renewal last year, but it's billed as a match between Aidan O'Brien's Paddington. He's going for his 7th win in the race, which would make him the winning most trader. And Emily Upjohn for John and Thady Gods as well, but no Frankie Dettori, William Buick on board. Which side of the fence are you on?
Well, as we mentioned briefly at the top there, Matt, if it absolutely gets a deluge of rain, it turns into a quagmire. All of a sudden, we're going, oh, who could it be? That's when Dubai Honor comes into his absolute own. He's a very, very good horse, blessed with a remarkable change of gear when he gets his ground, but not under these conditions. And you can see him sort of staying on late. There's probably not going to be a huge amount between first and last. But who's got the best change of gear? Who if you were to look at Emily Upjohn, who was back in third when she won the Coronation Cup? Point Lonsdale. Paddington would be in a different speed ratio to Point Lonsdale in the closing stages, provided that he stretches out. He should get the mile and a quarter, no problem. It could be a bit cat and mouse. He might go forward. Spencer might go forward. Emily Upjohn, she can even go make her own running. She's not one-dimensional at all. So tactics could prove pivotal in here. But £10 wait for it. £10 wait for age allowance. Paddington's got to be the winner.
Yeah, I agree. I think Paddington is certainly the one, to be honest. It was a good thing off 97 in that handicap, wasn't it? Beginning of this season, if only we knew then what we know now. Right, 3 races at Haydock as well to look forward to. We start with the 205, a mile 6, 3-year-old handicap. Obviously, plenty of these may have the Melrose at York on their agenda. Wide open, and the market suggests the same.
Oh yeah, Pledge of Allegiance won with any amount in hand at Doncaster. Lordship, same sort of thing, won a small race at Yarmouth, but hardly came off the bridle. And you've got Rogue Sea, one of those who was bought at the Shadwell dispersal sale with a wonderful, wonderful pedigree. Won 2 novices, now comes into a red hot handicap off 90. Again, having a good look through these. I have to say, if you were to watch back the Chester run of Chile, for all the world, he's going to stay a good bit further than the 1.5 miles that he ran there. He was a very good horse. He's never tried this trip so far. He's been super competitive over much shorter in his juvenile days. This season, steady progression as he's been stepped up in distance. And I really like the trainer, Brian Ellison. He's super, super patient, doesn't rush them. This lad is coming back from 42 days away since that Chester run. And you watch it back, I'm surprised the handicapper has left him on the same mark of just 86. Big eye catcher, track, trip, ground, all going to suit.
Yeah, Chile. I think it was Tashkent. I think he won this race, didn't he, a few years ago for the same connections, or certainly went very close indeed. So Chile then for Jason in that one. We have got group race action as well at Haydock. We've got the Group 2 Lancashire Oaks. Remember this last year, that really rough race where Free Wind came through to win. The same connections. I've got the short price favourite, Minkyu, this time, Jason.
Yeah, I think the rumour has it back in the weighing room. Rab Havlin and Jim Crowley still not speaking. Handbags at 10 paces every time they go round each other in the weighing room. But yeah, it was a rough old race, wasn't it? look, she's worthy at the top of the market. Probably was a little bit unlucky trying to give the penalty away when she ran at York last time. That was in the Bronte Cup, wasn't it? A real good run. Sea Silk Road managed to win the Leicester Piggott Stakes here. What a brilliant win that was. Time Lock, oh my word. How expensive has she been to follow? Admittedly, the team weren't in form when she should have won the race at Goodwood. So we gave her a pass. She came out, Ryan Moore rode her last time, and she was firmly put in her place. Probably, if the rain arrived, she'd be a bit more of a player, but she looks one-paced under quick conditions. But what happened to One for Bobby last time? First run for Hughie Morrison, wins the Nottingham Oaks, front two, an absolute mile clear. She ran at Newcastle behind Nashwa and Al Hussein, made a huge move around the outside, wasn't given a particularly good ride on that occasion. And just one of those, when you look at the prices, she's up there, massive double digits. I think she's the wrong price. Hopefully we get at least 8. If we get 1 down, we're still down to the first 3. And she's definitely been underestimated in the market. Oshin Orr comes in for the ride. We know how good he's going for the Far East stable. Big each way player, only 3rd ride for the stable, One for Bobby.
Yeah, big price. So One for Bobby, fingers crossed, got one knocking out the park there. Right. The big betting race is the Old Newton Cup at 3:15. The top weight certain lad is an absentee. He ran at Sandown on Friday. And the big, obviously, story of one of the outsiders, Keith Dalglish's final runner in All Right Sunshine. All right, he was tailed for Alaska, but he's got a good record here at Haydock. What a story that would be if he came out in front.
Yeah, it would be fantastic, and brilliant jockey, Keith, and certainly done remarkably well. How nice and refreshing that somebody has said, he's not giving up for any other reason, that he's ready to do something else with the family and take a bit of time out. He could always come back, couldn't he? He's got lots of people, and he's more than happy with that. So I wish him the very, very best. Darcy was 3rd in this last year from £2 hires, run no race twice so far. La Yakel got that sexy profile, had hardly any racing, has done a bit of winning. And you got Sheer Rocks and also, who was it? Sheer Rocks, Cumulonimbus, who are looking for the 3-timers coming back in here. I think it could be a good day for the Brian Ellison team. I have to say that One Smooth Operator was the only horse to come from the back of the pack and stay on last time when we saw him. That was behind Cumulonimbus, but he was the only one, as I said, at the back of the pack. We know how freewheeling Haydock is, and they keep on going up on the front end. He will be held up, so he needs a pace to run at, so he'd be a bit of an each-way play. And I think the same applies to Scampy. Don't think that he was given the greatest inspired ride last time when he was up at Ayr, ran no race whatsoever at Epsom, it didn't suit, but I still fresh in the mind when he bolted up at York, and he's been given a slight ease in the handicap, £2 by the handicapper. I think they're 2 against the field at fairly decent prices.
Fancy Scampy for a place?
Hey. The old ones are the best.
Right, brilliant stuff. So yes, great race, a mix of everything. Group 1s, Group 2, handicap, sprints, long distances, everyone catered for this weekend. What would be the idea of a strongest bet on the card, please?
Honestly, I'm only because I hope I'm wrong and the Hugo Palmer team bounced back to form. But I have to say, Bridestones, the way she was knocked over, just watch it back. She was knocked over twice in the Sandringham. She quite clearly would have won her side by some way. The fact that John and Thady Gosden pitched her into Group 1 company on only her 2nd lifetime start means that she's always shown a bit. So she'll do for me, even though she's got quite a bit to do on the ratings. Bridestones. And as I mentioned, that One for Bobby, trust me, that was a huge run behind Al Hussein and Nashwa. That form is rock solid.
Great stuff then. Bridestones on One for Bobby. A couple of prices to look forward to on a super Saturday of action. Group 1 at Sandown. Brilliant racing up on Merseyside at Haydock as well. All covered on ITV. That's where you can see Jason. But of course, please, whatever you're back in this weekend, always gamble responsibly and the very best of luck.